some more initiatives about how to foster the startup ecosystem through some startup challenges. And of course, to discuss this very important topic, we will need some expert people. So I'm very pleased to introduce to this today webinar, Guillaume Rostat, the president of FrenchTech Barcelona, and Jonathan Clark, startup program leader for Southern Cluster of OVHcloud. Just few important notes. I remind you that this session is currently registered and we will send you a copy via email. And you can also send us questions through the chat. You should have a question mark button so you can actually send us the questions, and we will do our best to reply to all your doubts and try to solve them. Today we will discuss some information about the FrenchTech. We will see some information about FrenchTech Barcelona and the startup challenge that will be presented by Guillaume and Jonathan also, that will put a focus on the OVHcloud Startup Program and its ecosystem. We will, of course, take some time to answer a few questions that we already collected also in the past days. So now I leave the floor to Guillaume. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Hilaria, and welcome everyone. I'm very happy to have you for this webinar talking about what we'll do as FrenchTech with OVHcloud. So first, quick words, because I guess most of you already know what the FrenchTech is all about. So let me just repeat again and again and kind of hammer my message. So the FrenchTech Barcelona was created now a bit more than 4 years ago to regroup and to represent the French community working in the tech environment here in Barcelona. So today, even though the numbers are never either fixed or very clear, we count around 250 companies in this area. So from very small companies to Criteos. I put some logos of some famous locally or worldwide known companies, and basically to repeat again these things that probably a lot of you have already heard. Our goal is to welcome newcomers, might it be companies, startups, finance, people, whoever wants to arrive in Barcelona, settle working in tech, being French. I mean, our goal is really to connect those people and organization inside this ecosystem. Secondly, our role is basically to do networking, so to create the good conditions for networking. Obviously, for the last now 8 months, sounds like centuries. It's harder to do. It's even impossible to do real events. But our basis used to be, and will probably be one day, to get people together and to really enjoy doing easy networking. And I would say unbiased networking to a certain extent, because we all enjoy living in Barcelona. We all enjoy technology, and we like to discuss, and obviously when it's possible to drink some beers in bars, which one day will be possible again. That's all we hope. And third point, which kind of is the center of what we'll be going through today, is the support that we try to bring to local to this to this ecosystem of, I would say, 2,000 people altogether. I know the noyau dur being around 200, 300 people, but a lot of French people are working in this world here in Barcelona, and really our goal is to offer support for growing, for knowing, for networking, and really for progressing and developing itself again as an individual or as a company. So that's kind of why it was natural to partner with OVHcloud, because obviously OVHcloud is a French company that is one of our happy unicorns. Was created, John will come back on that, more than 20 years ago, and really shows what the French tech can do along the time, and how we can take a real position on the worldwide market, such as on hosting and many other things that is now called the cloud. So OVH was created in France, and turns since 2015, I think, was really turning itself to help startup to grow. So that's why they created this startup program, and now John is responsible for this startup program. He's the lead for Southern Europe. So it makes a lot of sense that a French company works with a French association in Barcelona, which basically is Southern Europe. So although John is going to go into more details on that, first I want to thank him, and I think we're very lucky to have this kind of program, and we have to be very proud of our country for generating this kind of equation to meet up and to grow together. So so it's very natural that we come and speak together about how we can help startup. Obviously, I'm being very French and very FrenchTech Barcelona. I will push all of your requests, even if it's like I can't find my password to John, because that's that I think what is our natural, supporting kind of role. Let's say, although it would be that much, but I think he's going to complain about that. But whatever. And one of the things that we decided to do together, and so you can move to the next slide, is that I mean, ever since we took office, let's say, as a team of the French Tech, we always wanted to do a startup challenge. Why? Because I see more and more for the last 5 years, French tech companies created here in Barcelona, and I guess most of the name. I don't want to quote them all because if I don't quote one, it's going to be a prejudice. I don't want to create prejudice, but you all have friends that know people that created companies in the tech environment, French people that are now growing. And I think there's a new generation coming, a very early stage startup. We can even call that project at this stage. And our ambition in the challenge is really to help one or two projects that we really value, as they can grow, they can become big, they can also show what the French tech can do abroad, outside of France. And our ambition is really to help them from this very early stage. For two reasons. One is whenever the product already meets the market and is growing and is successful, you don't need an association like us. You can go to a VC fund, you can do seed rounds, you can take an international VC, and you can become super popular worldwide. So why you would need an association like the French Tech is because, for the second reason, we have a lot of experts, I would call them nice guys, that are really happy to help, and OVH is part of this group of nice people when you need it, which basically means early stage. Because when it's a later stage and you're successful, you have the money, you have the fame, you have women's everything, or men's, depending on many things. And I think that's really, the challenge is on both sides. The challenge is, okay, we want to pick one or two of the best projects that we find at a very early stage, and we really want to take the ecosystem together to help those projects, those selected projects, to grow faster. So it means that we are gathering all the experts, from lawyers, restaurants, CMOs, CTOs, CFOs, whoever wants to help, to really give some free time for these startups, depending really on how much we're going to select, to grow faster. And on top of that, we want to bring some money. That comes from a very simple conclusion for a lot of discussion I had, is that people want to, they are curious about investing. And part of this challenge outcome is, okay, we give to the community an equation to invest in a project that we all believe can go far. So hopefully, so far we launched that last week, and we have 6 applications so far. And as shown on the deck, it's going to be open until the 24th of November. So for those of you who want to apply, it's open for another 3 weeks. Then the pitch will be done with, I would say, the finalist, because we won't have everybody pitching between the 3rd week of December around. And we want to announce the winner on the 2nd week of January. So, and eventually, and if things change, and depending on the circumstances, we'll have a physical event. I don't know if you remember what is a physical event. Like you have to you have to take a shower, put some perfume, and to meet 3 people in real life. That would become surprising in a couple of weeks, but that's basically what we want to do. and we have a great jury. President of the jury will be announced soon. Of course, John is part of the jury. We have great partners that will help us, and I think it's a very small step for for men. It's a small step for technology, but it's a fun and enjoyable step to have all together, because the really underlying idea is that we all want to bring something, being a very small thing, to a project that we want to see succeeding. And I think it's what, as you know, as responsible for this association, that's probably the main thing I can bring to this ecosystem, is really to put people together behind the project. So you have the link if you want to apply, if you want to share, if you have any question. You probably already know me or have my details, so you can harass me on WhatsApp. You know, I'm most of the time available, and that's all. Now, John, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Thank you, Guillaume. Yeah, first of all, I wanted to say hello to everybody. I'm Jonathan, and thank you for joining us today. I know there's people from Portugal, Spain, and Italy mainly, or from 3 different countries, which is amazing. I want to say thanks to Guillaume as well, specifically for co-organizing this little chat that we're going to have. And I would, just before connecting, I remembered we met in February with Guillaume, so just before, so the days where we used to be able to meet. And yeah, after COVID, after everything, we're finally putting in place some actions together. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm really happy we're doing this chat today. Also, final thing. I have 2 screens, and I wanted to there's one screen with my camera, and the other one has the slides which we kind of prepared as backup with Guillaume. So if you see me looking away in the distance, I'm not distracted by anything. I'm just looking at the slides and seeing that we're not lost, as I need to switch them. So yeah, I guess the first step, Guillaume, maybe I should introduce OVHcloud, maybe its history. I think it's a good step. You did the right thing by mentioning the link that OVHcloud is a French company, and there is a strong link with French tech around the world, and more specifically in Barcelona. And I like to use this slide specifically to tell about like the story behind OVHcloud, because it's a 20-year-old story, and it started with this Octave Clava, with this Franco-Polish whiz engineering tech geek kid who had an idea about renting out servers to his clients and hosting, so basically being a hosting company, and thus began this adventure where, you know, over the course of 20 years he was innovating. You know, OVHcloud is one of the companies that has its own manufacturing. It's building its own servers, data centers. It has control over its own fiber optic cables, its own supply chain. So there's innovation in that. Innovation also in something that OVHcloud is really proud of is the climate impact and environmental impact, that the water cooling innovation you can see on the slide in 2003. The water cooling helps all the servers and the data centers to cool down because they use a lot of energy. And for that, we have the record, I believe, of the best energy efficiency in data centers, which is something OVHcloud is super proud of. So I mean, all this innovation became this entrepreneur became a startup, became a growing company that became international in 2004. Grew to Spain. So I'm based in Madrid, for example, and Spain was one of the first markets OVHcloud grew out to. Ilaria is based in Milan, and OVHcloud opened a Milan office in 2008. We opened the Lisbon office in 2015, I believe, more or less. Also acquiring companies in America. So it's become this huge international, I mean, huge maybe is a big word, but this big international company. Maybe I can also, I'll just try and switch next slide. Yeah, this slide is good to show how international we are. We have data centers all over the world. As some of you might know, the locality, the location of the data center is super important for your data. So from this northern French company becoming maybe the first French unicorn, growing internationally into the first European cloud provider, and competing in, as some of you may know, in a market that's dominated by American actors like AWS or Chinese actors like Alibaba. Having a European alternative is super important for competitiveness, for pricing. We have good price to performance ratios, and everything that's linked to data sovereignty. For example, all the data is what it's done, who can access your data, what is done with your data. Is good to also have a European alternative. So yeah, I think it's always nice to talk about this background story. So this guy in northern France becoming a startup, becoming a unicorn, and now part of the Next 40, which is an index that's supported by the French president, and becoming a strong ally with French tech across the world, sort of expanding the French technology and European also technology. So I think, yeah. I think that answers the first question, I guess.
Yes, your display setting are not correct, John.
Sorry?
We're seeing your other screen. You should be changing your display setting.
Which screen are you seeing now?
Well, the one that comes on the side of the one that should be displayed, actually.
All right. Thanks for letting me know.
That for ages. So you have to click on display setting and the first
yeah. What happens now?
Well, we see both. You okay? No, now you should click again on display setting. Yeah, I do also help desk on my lost hours. Okay, we're good now.
Thanks a bunch. Cool. That's the joy of having two screens. So yeah, let me know. Yeah. So as this is supposed to be like a chat, Guillaume, let me know what's next. What's next coming up.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt you. We already have one question from the audience. We have Alexis that is asking actually if you can explain better what is this startup program about. And then we have Sarah that is also asking if you actually invest in startups. So if you can, Jonathan, maybe proceed and explain us a little bit better. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the first question? Sorry.
What is exactly the OVHcloud Startup Program about, and if you invest in startup?
Okay, cool, perfect. So let me see, just a sec. Yeah, here we go. So you still seeing my slides? And good.
Yeah.
So yeah, the startup program was launched basically in 2015. Over the years, has supported about over 1,800 startups and invested quite a lot of money into these startups. This reasonable success meant that 2020 was also the year of where OVHcloud decided to strengthen and expand and improve on the program. And I'm part of this sort of improvement. I joined OVHcloud in January, and sort of let me see. Yeah. So this year, the program expanded internationally. We've expanded our offers to not only startups but also scale-ups. And also in terms of infrastructure, we keep on providing a certain amount of infrastructure and support to startups. It makes sense for OVHcloud to do that in terms of business and supporting great projects all over. Having been a startup itself, it kind of makes sense. I'm just going to skip to the next slide to go a bit more in detail, and then I hope I'm going to answer all the questions that you shared, Ilaria. The way I present the startup program is I usually use the phrase is 1, 2, 3. It's easy to remember. 1 because it's a 1-year program. It lasts for 1 year. It's a rolling program. We don't have a fixed agenda. So if there are any startups listening, you can apply whenever you want. I mean, the timing is important of when you apply, but don't hesitate to apply at any stage of the year. That's for the one. For the two, because we have 2 levels. One is for startups, which you see the slide now. So startups starting with an MVP, for example, starting to grow. And the second level is for scale-ups. So startups who are perhaps growing a bit faster, expanding, trying to conquer new markets. So that's for 2, and for 3, in the 1, 2, 3 is the 3 ways we support the startups. So we support with tech, so that's our added value at OVHcloud. So we give up to 10,000 euros of credits to startups, the startup level, to use on our products. We give a certain amount of specific tech hours to the project where some solutions architect can give specific support to your projects, help you make the right choices. There's also the business part, which is where we actually get a lot of support from our whole ecosystem, which is where the partners like Guillaume and other partners are important. We have the tech added value, and we rely on our partners to provide business added value, from co-working spaces to incubation opportunities to experts in HR, legal experts, etc. We really act as facilitators in this ecosystem. And the last way we help is the communication. So we provide opportunities through workshops, events, to showcase, highlight the startups that are in the program. I'm going to also show you very quickly, but it's pretty much the same at the scale level. It's pretty much the same as the startup level, but you can add a 0 to the amount of credits that we give. So it's up to 100,000 euros in credits, which is a pretty decent amount to help scale-ups scale. And also give up to 20 hours of support to the scale-ups, including mentorship in the very specific themes from experts such as AI, big data. So I think at that level, there's a bit of that extra support that we provide. Of course, there's also the partner perks and the communication perks that we provide. So I guess that's the program in a nutshell, a 1-year program with 2 levels and 3 ways, 3 ways of supporting your startup. If I could just maybe end with how we select our startups. So you can apply it anytime. And there is a little jury. We don't accept everybody. That might be different from other programs, but we don't accept everybody, which is why timing is important, which is why if you apply, make sure you share how OVHcloud can help you, because we want to be able to help you. And also we commit to give a feedback in the next 5 days, which is kind of good. So it's all on the website. If you're thinking of applying and you're here today, don't hesitate to send me an email, and I can definitely help you in the application process.
I have a quick question. Can you give a broad idea of the criteria for accepting the startup? I mean, they're probably not written in stone, but like broader idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really what I said. The main one is the startup. It has to need tech. So it doesn't have to be deep tech, but it should be reliant on quite a lot of technology, on cloud infrastructure. So that's something, and something OVHcloud can help with. So when I say apply it because OVHcloud can help you, that's what I mean. We can actually help you with the tech and with the advice. The second one I would say is the timing. Again, the timing is important. If you're joining the program but you're not going to make the most of it for 6 months, it's a bit of a shame. Otherwise, we're pretty flexible. Of course, if you're disruptive, innovative, it's great. We do like to have startups who already have an idea of a product, not just an idea. So starting with an MVP, for example, the MVP already exists. That is a good way. So I would say, yeah, the criteria, as you said, is pretty fluid, but those are the criteria as of today. Yeah. And we do not invest. I think that was one of the questions, Ilaria. We do not invest actually in the startups, and that's because We are a very open innovation company. It's one of our mottos. All our technology is open source, open stack, etc. And also one of the values is to be open. So we really don't lock in anyone, either in terms of investment, in terms of support, or in terms of technology. So I would say that's the answer to that question. Yeah.
And your explanation was very helpful. Guide me to another question, Jonathan. You were talking about partnership and about the ecosystem. How do you actually select your partners when you're talking about your ecosystem as OVHcloud?
Actually, yeah, I actually have slides on that. So before talking about how we select partners, I think it's important to say what we're looking for and why we're looking for partners. And I kind of briefly mentioned it, and Guillaume mentioned it quite strongly. Like, just give me a second. There we go. All right, yeah. So the ecosystem is important. That's basically the bottom line of it. The ecosystem, be able to rely on partners, rely on third parties. I think, in my personal opinion, makes a project, makes a company stronger, minimizes the risks also of failure, and maximizes actually the risk of being successful and growing. So that's why not only as a program we look for the best partners, but I think the startups from the program should be looking for a strong ecosystem as well, or either via OVHcloud, again with facilitators, or via FrenchTech Barcelona, Milan. And I think that that's really the idea behind the startup program having partners. We look for partners for all the reasons that I think you see in the slides now. So the first one is we want to reach out, we want to create awareness around the program, of course. That's one of the reasons why we look for partners, reaching out to startups, let them know there is an option, a European cloud provider out there with a startup program, and providing the best benefits to them. By that, I mean that we can concentrate on the tech, on helping startups with our tech, and we can count on this ecosystem for all other themes that could exist. As I said, it could be helping with finding a co-working place, an accelerator, an investor, or even a pitching expert, for example. So with these partners, we create programs, we create challenges, exactly like what Guillaume introduced, the startup challenge that we're pushing at the end of this year. We do webinars together, we have perks together. Something that's important, which is the fourth thing, is our ambitions are international. So I work almost every day with Ilaria. She's in Milan, I'm in Madrid, and I have colleagues in Melbourne, in London, Berlin, with their own ecosystem, and making links internationally is also very important to us. We have offices in Station F, for those who know Station F in Paris, which is a huge incubator, and we would like to use, and we are using it as a meeting point, this international meeting point for startups all over the world. So we do have all types of partners, and for that we're really flexible. For those partners out there who are listening today, potential or otherwise, we adapt quite easily to the way you work and the best practices as well. So this slide is good for me to show like how exactly those collaborations differ. So we do a lot of joint communication. We work with experts, journalists. We also organize events. We write articles with universities, research centers. We provide a lot of perks as well to our partners who could be incubators. We can be this tech expert, let's say, that can provide maybe there's something tech missing in your programs. We can also help if you have incubation or acceleration programs. We can be also a good filter for VCs. So for example, we organized a pitch contest recently, and in the jury there were VCs, and this is a great way to meet startups, to get connected with startups, and each of them was connected with startups. We also provide, joint collaboration events together. Next week we have our annual OVHcloud event, ecosystem again experience, where in some of the sessions, well, one of my colleagues who's based in London is doing a session with his local London partner, and they're going to talk about how they are helping the startup ecosystem in London to develop and how they're energizing it. So, I mean, there's all sorts of way we collaborate. So yeah, pretty flexible. And it's also, I would say, a growing ecosystem. We've already started, let me just change slides. We've already started, this is the map of Europe. So we have partners across Europe in Italy, Spain, Portugal, all types of partners, but it's still growing. So if there's any partner out there interested, do contact me. I think it's the best way to provide the best benefits to startups, and also the global ecosystem to provide the best global local ecosystem for tech. Absolutely. I hope yeah, that was
yeah, it was a perfect answer. Yeah. Thank you. So I would say now it's time for question from the audience. I see people are very interested. So while we wait a few more minutes for attendees to actually formulate their questions, I have my own one to both of you. Getting a bit back from a broader perspective, what are the top tech challenges and trends you see? I mean, this question might sound a bit like too broad. So if you can just give us a bit your ideas of what you've seen in the future and what companies have been incubated the most in the programs you presented us.
I'm going to let Guillaume start because I've been speaking a lot.
Okay. Well, I think, I mean, what I see really from my perspective, it's a small, very small part, but there are trends that are being confirmed and kind of new trends too. So the trend that is confirmed now is SaaS is still growing. So there's still a lot of SaaS business because the business model is nice because you basically make money every month easily. I wouldn't say that much easily, but so SaaS is what is surprising that there's still room for SaaS businesses to appear to grow in market, and I think part of the thing that we see that it's becoming more and more niche in that sense, and that's the second trend is that we see what e-commerce that used to be, it's still very big of course, but they used to have a lot of projects and new companies around e-commerce. Now it's pretty much on the niche market. So that would be the second trend, and the third one is of course accelerated a lot by the events that we are going through. Because I was going to say, I mean, even yesterday, but okay, I would talk about past events, but that's actually a very present event around this COVID situation is the notion of impact. So impact investment, impact project. That's in the few projects I've seen in that very challenge, but along the last year, and really accelerated greatly by the COVID. Impact is one of the big keywords. So the question I have personally, and I don't really have the answers, is how is going to be the needle between making a real impact and making a real business. And I think that's the big challenge of tech. I mean, getting SaaS and niche e-commerce still there, growing at the rhythm. Let's say big way is going to be impact, because what is smashing now is the mix of this pandemia and of course all the challenges on the ecological standpoint that we have, and how it's going to be translated into business. I think that is going to be the biggest trend. Now what I don't know, 18 months from now, 24 months from now, when hopefully this crisis will be over, is how will this translate into concrete, long-lasting businesses. And I mean, that's interesting to be here at this very moment where things are starting, because we're probably at the beginning of something that anyway is going to be so meaningful that we won't, that we probably build, I would say build the future, not in big words, but it would shape it very differently. So that would be my answer to what are the trends.
Yeah, I guess my turn. I think I'll start by agreeing with Guillaume actually on two aspects. The first one is the SaaS software aspect was something that I've noticed in terms of startups applying to the program. A lot of providing there's a lot of startups providing sort of they're taking a concept like Excel and breaking it down in all its various functionalities and providing a really cool way of doing something that something else does, but specific functionality. And there's a lot of that going on, and a lot of those startups joining the program. And the other thing that I really agree with is the impact. I was talking last week actually for a virtual event in Milan, and I was saying the same thing on the future is definitely digital. I mean, COVID has pushed that forward years in the space of a few months. It was probably starting to be digital anyway. Startups have always been these pioneers in this world, but to differentiate yourself, and because it's a growing trend, impact is super important. I think customers and also investors will look at that more and more often. And if I could maybe just add one thing, I'd add the importance of, especially for fintechs and health techs, the importance of data and data sovereignty. I touched upon that in the early slides of the presentation, because the battleground of the future, you can forget about Boeing versus Airbus for the skies. The battleground of the future is going to be data, and your data, our data, your customers' data, who can access it, what you can do with it, what anybody can do with it. And so data sovereignty, so having your data protected, for example, not accessed by via, for example, the Cloud Act in America, not accessed by governmental agencies, wherever your data is in the world, is something important. And I think when you're starting a business, it's something to look, especially fintechs and health techs again, because of the sensitive nature of the data, something to look at in detail. Absolutely.
Great. We are actually getting a few people asking more or less the same question, because I think they got a little bit confused if a startup can actually participate both in the Startup Challenge by the FrenchTech Barcelona and the OVHcloud Startup Program. I think yes, but can you just confirm that?
Yes, so I think Guillaume asked that question at some point there's a specific set of criteria for the startup program, which is an ongoing rolling program that's happening all the time. And then I'll leave Guillaume to explain this specific startup challenge that's happening in the coming month.
Yeah, no, so basically you can do both. I mean, there are criteria, like as I said at the beginning, we're really looking for early stage startup or project, which is different from what the OVH Startup Program is doing. And the OVH Startup Program is a program. So it's long lasting. It's kind of an evergreen program that's been there for 5 years, and we continue going on. And what we're doing is really a temporal challenge that will end beginning of January. And so the only things that go together is that we partner, because all perks are partly coming from, for all challenge, all the perks are coming from OVH for a big part of it. So now there is no contradiction between applying to both of them. And actually, by somehow applying to the challenge of the FrenchTech Barcelona, you will be in the hands of the OVH, I mean, in the radar of the OVH Startup Program. But Startup Program, again, from OVH, is a real, concrete, long-lasting program. We are just a challenge, like a contest that will probably repeat over time, maybe next year, we'll see, but it's not like a long-lasting project.
Can you just, Guillaume, remember us how much money do you actually give for this challenge?
Well, the idea is that we commit on a minimum amount of 10K, because that's real money, and the idea is to propose to the ecosystem to create via a club deal to invest in the startup. So really depends. I mean, I don't think we'll reach millions of euros, but I'm pretty sure we can reach 100K or so, which is also why we need early stage startups, because that's what we want to do is really to collect funds and to aggregate investors, real investors, at this moment where this money is also what we call working capital. So capital, money coming from people from the tech environment that can be helpful. What you need at this stage is money and is support from people of the industry, and that's kind of our ideal goal would be to bring this I don't know, 50 to 100K, probably not above, because then it becomes a real, seed round, so to say. But really, the friends and family, aggregate the friends and family from professional the tech environment. So we'll see at the end, probably around next March or February, how much we finally give to the winner. But it's at least 10K and up to, I would say 100, 150 maybe.
Okay, great. And I have one last bit challenging question to Jonathan. It's like, are you better than AWS, Google, and Azure? That was asked by Mel.
Are we better? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. No, so yeah, first of all, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, they have their own startup program, which is probably I'm going to do a very politically correct answer. They probably have a very good set of programs and technology. I would say we're different in the aspects as a program, but also as a company. We're different in the fact that we're European. So I pointed that out. That's one thing. We own our own, we control our whole supply chain and our whole manufacturing, which is another difference. And I think going back to the European one, the big differentiator, maybe the way we collaborate, our approach to businesses might be slightly different from an American one, for example, in a way of collaborating. And of course, again, data sovereignty. I think, as I've been hammering for the last 5 minutes, like this future already started battleground for data and the data of our customers. So depends who you feel like trusting more, an American cloud provider or an European cloud provider in terms of regulations, etc. That's also a big difference between these companies. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think we get to the end of this very interesting webinar. I think everyone learned something new today. So thanks everyone for joining. For any additional question we might not have answered, we will take some time to get replies offline. It was a real pleasure to have this conversation with Guillaume and Jonathan. So thanks once again for hosting this event. And I will send to everyone into the chat the link to register to the OVHcloud ecosystem experience in case you might want to join and see how the startup pitch contest will go this year. So then you can get an idea for next year one. Thanks again to everyone. And for any question, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you, Ladia.